of the iconic Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to the JP Broadcasting Network for live coverage of round number 5 of Season 7 of the Galebest and Clark St. James GT3 Championship in association with Tanso Racing Group. My name's Alex Goldschmidt. I'm going to be joined in the booth tonight, as always, by my good compadre, Mr. James Parfitt. The Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps has been around for a very, very long time. September 1921. And the current circuit that we're using is using the old pit lane. So down the hill from La Source into Eau Rouge et Radiant. But more importantly, we're in the second half of this 8-round calendar. And where are the scores at the moment? Well, let's have a look at the AM classification at the moment. James Moore has got an extensive lead, 141 points at the moment after the opening 4 races. He leads ahead of Daniel Poole, with Mike Waters from Son of a Bro Racing taking his maiden AM class win at the Nürburgring last week, brings himself up into P3 ahead of Chris Haynes and Sean Clark, who both are tied on 85 points apiece. Sean Clark getting second last week. Sergio Cabral, Callum Milam, Tim Walters, Paul West, Shane Wells ran out the top 10, along with the likes of Joseph Lopez, Jay Rooney, Mark Wesley, Steve Trippier and Terry Atkinson being the last on the rung in the AMs. In the pros, it's Michael Gray. 4 wins out of 5 and a second. But he's got close competition from his Full Tilt Motorsport teammate and the Lamborghini, Harry Gaylor, who's 25 points behind coming into this 5th round out of 8. John McLuhan for HB Racing rounds out the top 3, ahead of Matt Hoyland, Harry Hartley-Price, the defending pro champion, Ben Altria, Sam Berry, Andy White, Stephen Donnelly, Harry Seven, Peter Duke, Tim Reed, Tim Cullimore, Joe Sparrow and Glenn Abelard rounding out the top 15. Connor Pink in 16th, ahead of Jordan Crawford, and Rob McKee rounding out the top 18 in the pro side of things. And with that, we also have Craig Corish and Jared Love, the outgoing AM champion from Season 6, rounding out the top 20, with Nathan Healy, Sean Atkinson and Mark Kent rounding out the drivers that have competed in pro so far. And with that in mind, I think we also, I'm not too sure if we do have any other championship standings, but a very good evening, James Parfitt. Spa. It's a circuit unlike any other that really needs no introduction.
No, it doesn't. We've been here a few times already, and that is this week alone. And it's an iconic circuit. Everybody knows Spa. That's the question. Everybody knows it. This is why we should have a good race. Why are we going to have a good race? Because we've got the draft down the Kemmel Straight. It's something we're going to look up through the El Rouge and Radion, coming up down the Kemmel Straight. It's going to be the main overtaking position. The thing they are going to have to look out for, and I saw this on Sunday, is this brand new GT3 tyre model. It caused drama. Cold tyres, we had people spinning around like an absolute trooper. It was very, very interesting indeed. They are going to have to be aware of that. The cold tyres are going to kick in. It's going to be a problem. We are in qualifying at this moment in time as well, as we're on track at the moment with Sean Clark, who is out on the race circuit as well, yet to set a time for his lap. But lots of interesting things going to take shape, and I'm looking forward to this. I think it should be a good one.
Yeah, we also do have a guest driver making up the AM ranks, because obviously we put him on a particular category, and well, we wouldn't see his name. Let's put it this way. I think that was Ruben Davis, if I remember correctly, if you were telling me before the top of the show, wasn't it?
Yes, it was Mr. Ruben Davis. Basically, we've had to stick in a class because otherwise he would be all black on the timing tower and we wouldn't be able to see him. So he is a guest here, but he will be just labelled under AMS for a moment.
Yeah, so Michael Gray, the man leading overall, and pretty much has got, so far, 3 pole positions, 3 wins, and he's also got a second. So Harry Gaylor, no poles, 1 win, 3 podiums. The only person that has scored a pole position this season is the man who's currently 9th in the timing screen at the moment, Peter Duke, for DC Motorsport in the Acura NSX. Took pole last time out at the Nürburgring, was still happy to get his first podium of the season with a 3rd place, as Mr. Jared Love, the Flying Scotsman in the Ford Mustang, puts his car 13th on the grid. Top 15 at the moment, rounded out by all pro drivers, as Michael Gray at the minute puts out his best second sector of the session so far, with 3 minutes and 45 still to go. We're probably going to have the best part of nearly 30 cars on the grid here tonight, JP, and that could cause a little bit of good old GT3 carnage.
It can do, yes. It can cause carnage. We're hoping it doesn't, but we're never going to say it won't. And as I said, by what I've seen this week with the GT3 property, the GT3 tyre model, sorry, it's going to be very interesting indeed. I think there's going to be a couple of things that people are going to be getting used to.
Yes, indeed. So, if you are watching along on the JP Broadcasting Network, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and give us a follow on social media. And if you are watching along, let us know in the chat who you are supporting tonight, who you're cheering on, because we always have a lot of great banter within the YouTube chat, and there is plenty of racing action still to come across the length and breadth of the next 7 days until we return for round 6 of the Galebest and Clark St James GT3 season. It will head to the World Centre of Speed at the Daytona Road Course. But Michael Gray has gone even quicker still, JP. 2 minutes, 16.530, 0.105 quicker than Wayne Douglas, showing that the Mercedes in that particular designation, the 6.3 litre naturally aspirated V8 engine, thunders down the Kemmel Straight at a high rate of knots like nobody's business.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for Michael Gray. He's been very quick in the Corvette. He's been able to do things that others haven't been able to do as well, and I'm really impressed with how he gets on, how he's getting on with that Corvette. I think it's absolutely amazing. A couple of people that are in trouble. One of them is Chris Haynes in the Porsche. No time on the board for Chris at the moment, and Glenn Ablard is another one that hasn't got any time on the board either there as well. Come on, Tim Reed, he says in YouTube chat there for Josh and Callum Ireland. Fingers crossed for a good race. Good luck all. So Callum's clearly not in the race this evening.
No. Matt Hoyland was talking about in the Discord saying, this is before we'd even got going to qualify. Haven't turned a wheel yet, and I'm soaked just being in this room with the PC on. Laugh out loud emoji. So it is going to be a very, very physically and mentally taxing race for our drivers as Glenn Ablard goes his way through the bus stop. That's the sausage curves. Going through the second half of that final chicane and goes to see whether he is going to be, if he's actually going to put a lap time in. It puts him 21st on a 2 minutes 18.889, but the start that we will have will be down the hill from La Source, and then it's the run going into Eau Rouge et Radiant, if I remember correctly, on this variety, this variation of the Spa-Francorchamps, but it is going to be very, very close indeed. Callum Milan really struggling since the update with the new tyres on Porsches. So switching it out, has grown to love the Z06 a lot. So he's doing a Michael Gray.
Yeah, but he's also copped a race ban for changing cars.
Yeah, naughty, very naughty there, Callum Milan. So
I'm sure he's not the only one, dude. There's been a lot of mixed opinion on this upgrade. Some people have said it's really good. Some people have said it's not really good. Some people have called it absolutely awful, and some people have called it absolutely amazing. So I've seen a lot of different variations, to be honest. I've not had the fortunateness of getting out in a GT3. However, I did briefly do an official a few days ago in the Mercedes at Watkins Glen. And that didn't work out so well.
Ah, okay.
Being that I was fourth place coming through turn 8 and decided it would be a good idea to spin the blinking thing and hit the barrier. So there we go.
Oh.
That time.
Yes, yeah, it's sad times. I mean, but you see Jared Love, well, that's a mega lap for the Mustang. That's 2 of the Mustangs in the top 5. Joe Sparrow, P3, Jared Love in the number 10 has just put it across the line and has gone P5 in that session. There are still a few drivers out there. This is a 15-minute open qualifying session here at Spa-Francorchamps, and it will be 45 minutes with a maximum allowed fuel limit of 50%. Wayne Douglas is about to come across the line. The Morrow Engel styled livery, EWT colours. Does he improve on that lap time? No. 218.8 there for the Mercedes. As a few more drivers come across the line. This is going to be Matt Hoyland up to P6 in the Lamborghini. So, and now we've got Tim Reed. He's going to come across the line. Does he improve? Yes, goes P5. So Jared Love, within a matter of moments, has dropped from P5 to P8. Here comes Christopher Haynes and good old Rexy. Currently 22nd at the moment on a 218.9. Goes up to 20th, 218.782. Oh, Mike Walters. That is not how you go round the bus stop chicane, I'm afraid.
No.
The man from Son of a Bro Racing having a bit of a Kylie Minogue complex. During the second half of the bus stop.
A little bit of spinning around. Callum, I'm a little bit concerned about your comment. The tyres grip up really well on the grass when you go off track, as you can control well when trying to rejoin the circuit. Now, do we race on the grass? Are we in lawnmowers?
No, but that reminds me of a certain iRacing special event that saw Grassgate happen.
Yes, this was at Spa, funny enough, all down the left-hand side of the circuit.
Yes, I remember that because I was, funny enough, working on an official broadcast with one of the teams as well that was running in said event. But James Paul, I think, has just secured pole in AM. The
Daniel
Paul. Daniel Paul, sorry.
That's all right. I don't mind.
James Moore is the man that has really been trying to keep that lead at the moment. But Daniel Paul got a P3 last time out at the Nürburgring, but he now secures pole position. Does the 82 from Flatline Racing. But yeah, that's pretty much. We've hit 15 minutes, so the timer is, well, we are just ready to go round to the next session here for this first quarter of the second half of this 7th season. Is going to be Michael Gray that's going to lead the field from pole position. Wayne Douglas will be alongside on the front row. And then, well, it's going to be a big old grid here at Spa. Joe Sparrow and Stephen Donnelly will be on row number 2. Tim Reed and Peter Duke, row 3. Matt Hoyland and Jared Love round out row 4 with Jean McLuhan. Andy White rounding out the top 10. Harry Hartley-Price and Ben Altria, row 6. Connor Pink, Sam Berry, row 7. Row 8 is going to be Craig Corish and Glenn Ablard. Daniel Paul and James Moore making an all-AM row 9. Nathan Healy and Chris Haynes. Mike Walters starts 21st. Head Sean Clark carries 7. Sergio Cabral, Joseph Lopez. Tim Walters making a return after his anniversary dinner with his wife last week. So welcome back, Tim. Paul West, Ruben Davis, and Steve Trippier rounds out the 29-strong grid here at Spa. We are going to be starting on the run down to Les Fagnes before Campus and Stavelot. And they'll be let loose once they get through Blanchimont, and then we head into the bus stop chicane here at this circuit. Expect speeds north of 160 plus miles an hour going through one of the fastest corners in modern day motorsport at Blanchimont. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Spas and GT3s always provides great racing, James.
Yeah, you're right. I got told the other day, I was talking to somebody who said that this is the second best racetrack in the world.
Did that person say what the first one was?
Yeah, he was an Australian. Where do you think it was?
Bathurst?
Yeah. I said I have to disagree with him. He said, why? I said, because the first one's in Lagos. He said, what's the second one? I said, Thruxton. I said, I don't know where I'd put Spa, to be blatantly honest.
Everyone has their respective top 5, top 10 racetracks. But for me, I think we've had this championship go to Sebring, we've gone to Imola, we've gone to Monza, we've gone to Nürburgring. We've got Daytona Road Course next week. We've got Brands, and then we've got one of the tracks with the longest start-finish straight known to modern-day motorsport, Fuji International Speedway. And there will be plenty of slipstreaming there, let me tell you that much. But this is going to be an interesting front row. We've got Corvette versus Mercedes. Then we've got two Mustangs. BMW versus Lambo, row 3. Acura versus Ford, row 4. Porsche versus Audi, row 5. And the leading McLaren is going to be Connor Pink. So that is just goes to show how much this GT3 tyre model that has been introduced on week 13 has thrown a little bit of a, not a spanner in the works, but I think a bit of a curveball to everybody to try and work around it quickly.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. A lot of people picked a car and thought it's going to be ideal, but then they didn't realise, or they haven't paid attention that the tyre model was coming in. And unfortunately, it's caused a lot of dramas. Me personally, probably BMW might be quite stable with the new tyre model. To be honest with you, the Mercedes maybe. It's quite weighty on the rear end, so yeah, it could be interesting to see.
Okay, so we are under starters' orders here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for Season 7, Round 5 of Galebest Clark St. James GT3 action in the Ardennes Forest here in Belgium, as it is going to be Gray versus Douglas on the front row of the grid. We've already had drama in the background, but we are ready and waiting. The lights will go on very, very shortly. They are at a crawl as we will get the moment to go through and go racing once they pass La Source. So it is a little bit of an anticipation here, folks. But someone is pulling, that's Ben Altria, isn't it, in the Acura that might have had that spin earlier on. He's going to be right down at the back end of the field as we get set and ready. Lights are due to go on. Michael Gray has already pulled the trigger, and look at Peter Duke already going to the outside. Red lights are on. We are green and underway here at Spa-Francorchamps, and a great move, a great attempt to the move there by Peter Duke, but Tim Reed closing in on him. The two Haribo Mustangs, Sparrow and Donnelly, line astern behind Douglas and Gray, who leads as we go down the Kemmel Straight for the first time. And Joe Sparrow's got a real good run here on Wayne Douglas, who looks to the inside. Michael Gray managing to get through Lincoln relatively unscathed, as there is the 86 Clarkson.
Oh,
James
that was the leader.
Andy White, and that was Michael Gray in the barriers off of Lincoln.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness me, how the tables have turned.
Yeah, he's gone off already. Connor Pink looking up the inside of Andy White here. I think somebody are going to be struggling, because I think some people have struggled already. There's been part and parcel of people off the side of the circuit. There was nearly another bit of contact there with Connor Pink and Andy White, and people can't get these tyres up to speed quick. The Mustang's in behind him of Sam Berry. He's looking up the inside here as well, trying to go alongside Andy White. Puts White off the side of the circuit almost, but that does leave the Mercedes of Wayne Douglas out in front. Now, this is what happened to Michael Gray. He had a country mile lead. You see people weaving around. Now, there was a...
Oh, he just lost it.
Yeah, he just lost it on his own. But there was a thing earlier on that people have said that weaving actually does make a bit of a difference now. You know, some people are saying they were able to put at least 10 degrees in their tyres, weaving on the pace lap or on the opening lap, and that's why they were going all across the race circuit at the beginning. So that's what went on with them. As regards to Peter Duke jumping the start, I don't think he did. Here we go, we're nestled in, there's Peter there.
Well, it's the minute he saw that Gray punched the throttle,
no,
Duke knew that
he could go, but the thing is, he wasn't past the car on the outside. Exactly. He didn't pass the car on the outside when the green flag dropped. Now, this is what happened to Ben Altria on the pace lap, which seems absolutely bonkers that somebody has done this on the pace lap. Round he goes on his own.
Oh.
That's nuts. That's a pace lap, dude. That should never be happening in a month of Sundays. But Wayne Douglas out in front, Stephen Donnelly sitting in second with Peter Duke in third, and then Tim Reed behind that, Jared Love in there, Matty Hoyland, Jean McLuhan, Joe Sparrow, Harry Hartley-Price and Connor Pink all locked in there at the moment. But so the answer, Michael, to your question, did Duke jump the start? No, he didn't.
No, because he was able to pull alongside but not overtake. And once the lights went out, he could go full guns blazing. There's Mr. Fresh Rubber. Sam Berry in the Mustang closing in on Connor Pink for that 12th place as they go through Malmedy down the hill into Bruxelles. A lot of them kicking up the dust. But Wayne Douglas in that BWT liveried Mercedes is now 1.2 seconds up the road. He's had a slight off track, and what we're going to see here over the race distance itself, these drivers will have to make a mandatory pit stop. It will be a case of whether some drivers decide to do the big undercut or go for as long as they can in the opening stint to minimise their amount of fuel being required towards the end of the race. We're going to see another replay here. That is Michael Gray. No rear wing, brings a lot of kitty litter onto the circuit. He did pull the car into pit lane, but here looking at the replay, he carries the momentum through the back edge, steps out on him, and he is simply a passenger.
Ah, there's the rear wing, but he does something after. Whatever he does here puts him in pit lane.
Yeah. Well, he isn't taking any further part in this race, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, the back end's had I mean, it wasn't just the rear wing that got the damage. It would have been the back end, so drivetrain could have been affected as well. The gearbox, the engine, it's mid-mounted rear-wheel drive on that Z06, the C8 variation. As round the outside stays, Tim Reed on Jared Love, who's got the charging, raging bull of Matt Hoyland not too far behind. John McLuhan, Joe Sparrow, Harry Hartley-Price and Connor Pink round out the top 10. Daniel Paul leading the AM class now in the number 82 Porsche. He is a little bit ahead of James Moore. Chris Haynes in Rexy rounds out a 1-3 for Porsche at the moment as Jared Love flashes the headlights at Tim Reed and says, right, watch out sunshine, I'm coming for you. But he's got Matt Hoyland and John McLuhan not too far behind. And the 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V10 in that Lamborghini Huracan. Look, Jordan Love looking to the inside. He's going to start getting a little bit of side draft, but it might be a little bit too late. But he's going to go late on the brakes, up the inside at Lecom. Tim Reed keeps it round the outside. This could set up an opportunity for Hoyland to fling it round the outside of Malmedy, but at that point, two wheels on the curbing by Jared Love keeps the Scotsman in the Mustang as Joe Sparrow dives up the inside of Jean McLuhan through into Bruxelles. But for the next left-hander, McLuhan's going to have the racing line, and up through he goes.
Oh, man, that was a cent and a half from Sparrow. The rear running side by side now. There you go. Sparrow did get through, but boy, oh boy, he come from a long way back to make that move there as well. Dan Paul leading the AMs with Nathan Heaney and Ben Altria in between him and James Moore at the moment. That's going to get a little bit tidy and see what goes on here. Connor Pink trying to make a move currently up the inside of Harry Hartley-Price with Sam Berry tucked in right behind as well. So Price and Pink having a good old little bit of a ding-dong with McLuhan in front and Douglas in front of that as well. Oh, Sparrow, sorry, I should say, in front of that as well. I'd be interested to know who is going to go in pit lane and are they going to touch tyres? I personally think they would be absolutely bonkers if they go and even remotely take tyres. I think you're off your trots if you do that. So I'm thinking that they might not do that, and hopefully for the best here that we can get some of these racing going, because this is getting Pink, Hartley-Price.
Side by side through the bus stop chicane. Connor Pink spins it around at the second half of the bus stop. Daniel Paul had to exit stage right round the outside of the McLaren West livery 720S GT3, but that is exactly what was happening, and you're going to see it here. He dives to the inside of Harry Hartley-Price, gets the rotation through the first part, goes to turn it around, oversteers and hits the throttle at the same time, and it just turns the car around.
Yeah.
So Connor Pink finds himself all the way down in 28th position. Meantime, Peter Duke in that Acura is closing in on the V8 Mustang of Stephen Donnelly, one of the Haribo twins as we're going to call them here. That livery has been shown on Mercedes AMG GT, well, it was the predecessor to the AMG GT3, which is the SLS Gullwing AMG GT3, and I think if I remember correctly, Maxi Goetz one particular year at the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring was running in a Haribo liveried car at the Nordschleife. But Peter Duke trying to get the run on the Mustang, but Wayne Douglas in that Mercedes is doing really, really well. Nathan Healy in the only other Mercedes I spot on this grid has made up 4 places, now runs 15th ahead of James Moore. So there is still a lot of racing action to come over the next 36 minutes and 40 seconds. So keep your eyes peeled, folks. Don't touch that dial and stick with us as we run on board with the DC Motorsport Acura. Peter's really started to get a good handle of this car towards the second half of the season. I mean, picking up a P3 at the Nürburgring last time out with a great defence over Harry Hartley-Price right up until the checkered flag. He's really got the measure of that car now.
Yeah, he definitely has. I think that's the thing. Hartley-Price in the Porsche, Jean McLuhan in the Porsche as well, Sam Berry currently sitting in the Mustang. And I think this is the thing here. I think this new tyre model could possibly suit the likes of the Mustang, the likes of Sparrow, the likes of Love, the likes of Donnelly, even Douglas in the... Oh, what has gone on here?
Right, okay, this is going to be Sergio Cabral, teammates of James Moore, and that was on...
Oh,
Mike
bro.
Walters. Oh, dear, no, that was a bit too...
Ooh.
Oh!
Cabral, Walters, Clark, and Lopez.
That was definitely a domino rally effect there, but yeah, Sergio Cabral, I think that was not a move that was on, to be honest with you. Callum Milam throws this question. Do you each have a favourite livery so far this season for the cars out there on the grid?
Yes.
Oh, Love and Reed. Oh, side by side. And Jared Love has spun a Lecom because he was so close to the outside of the BMW.
Yeah. Oh, dearie me.
Yeah,
Oh,
he just cuts across him.
Yeah,
he
just leant on him there and got it all. He was too close. For Love, I don't know where he expected that BMW to go, to be blatantly honest. He couldn't Harry Potter himself up a chimney, so unfortunately for him, he was not able to go anywhere. Favourite livery, Mr. O'Leary? Mr. Goldschmidt, sorry.
I'd have to say the Haribo Mustangs. It's something different. I have to say, Sean, Sam Berry's livery, the fresh rubber one's quite a one that you can't exactly miss, can you?
No. No,
but I would say for me the Haribo Mustangs. I do like them.
Okay. I haven't really got one this season. I do like the Walters brothers liveries. Funny enough, they're both on racetrack together. Mike and Tim. They're coming up with something new every single time, and I quite like them as well. The fact that they got their names in the window makes it a heck of a lot easier for us as well. But I do like the Son of a Bro Racing liveries. I do like Matty Hoyland's purple, yellow and black. That looks nice as well. Just as I say that, he goes and puts it deep in the bus stop. So probably after that, I'm not going to say anymore because I don't want to curse anyone.
No, I do have to say honourable mention Connor Pink with the Grand Tour livery last week at the Nürburgring, which is brilliant. But this is Ben Altria in the
watch the two in front.
Oh, that was that is that was definitely not cricket right there going through the bus stop chicane.
It definitely was not cricket. There's
no. He was trying for a 6 and got LBW.
Yeah, he
right.
did. He swung high, wide, and handsome and got it all a little bit Pete Tong.
Yes, indeed. And here goes Joe Sparrow on Matt Hoyland. The Mustang having the legs on the Lamborghini down the Kemmel Straight. The assistance of the slipstream. And he gets through for P4. So both the Haribo Mustangs, the JSD Racing team, are up in 2nd and 4th position. Ben Altria has gone off again in the number 504 and he's in pit lane. So let's have a look. This is not going to go well going through into Lecom. Oh, he just goes off completely. Oh, back end swaps and bang into the barriers. Oh, rear end's an absolute mess.
Yeah, see you later. Yeah. Has Tim got damage? He's off the pace. Tim, I presume we're talking about Waters or Reed? Which one?
I think he's talking about Tim Reed, possibly.
I don't think he's got... Let's have a look at his steering. No, looks
He
straight.
might have, though, might have caught a little bit of scuff damage, maybe from Jared Love when he steered into him at Le Combe. But yeah, it doesn't look like Tim Reed's got major damage at all. I think it's mainly about positioning of the car, and if you have got slipstream from the cars in front, but just ahead of him is Matt Hoyland trying to go toe-to-toe with Joe Sparrow coming out of Blanchimont on the run down to the bus stop chicane. We are now on to lap 7 here in this 5th race of the season. No, I think yeah, it doesn't look like Tim's got any damage, but yeah, there's been a lot of clean racing so far here tonight. Michael W says Haribo Mustangs looking like the sweet versions of
the mellow yellow.
Yeah,
I agree.
I kind of, that was the first vibe I saw until I saw the Haribo livery on it, but it's something a bit different. But yeah, it's one of my favourite liveries of the season, to be completely truthful. But you can just see the pace. Steve Trippier is in the pit lane. There's a lot of dust being kicked up from Adion and Rouge as well, as we're riding on board with the Lamborghini of Matt Hoyland, closing in on Joe Sparrow into Le Combe. So about 70, 80 miles an hour going through into Le Combe, 3rd gear. And this is going to be, Steve Trippier, this is going to be the run down into Bruxelles.
It's already out of control. We lost it on the curb already.
Oh, that's Campus.
Yeah, watch the no, watch the exit. Watch the right-hand side staring at you. Watch it hit that curb just there. And he's already out. He's already lost the back end.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he just couldn't get it back up. And around he goes there as well. Harry 7 is mixing it out with James Moore, who's leading the AMs at the moment as well. If I remember correctly, dear sir, you actually said before you realised in the first round that you actually thought the Haribo Mustang, before we got a little bit closer and before we realised, you actually turned around and said, oh, he's got the mellow yellow livery on.
I did. It was on the first broadcast.
Yeah,
it was only when we got the close-up, and then I got instantly corrected. So it's got that kind of vibe.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. I think it definitely has got the mellow yellow outlook on it. If you took the Haribo stuff and stuck mellow yellow down the side of it, nobody would notice that the green or anything changing.
Well, you didn't even need to, you you just take the Haribo stuff off and just leave all the colours there, and it's. Michael Donny says, "Go watch Days of Thunders."
Dude, I'm already there. I'm already thinking about it.
Like we were there. We were there at the beginning of this season, Michael. I'm afraid.
Yeah, definitely on that one. I'd like to point out as well. Here's a comment I've never ever seen before. Well, the Acura is dead as beep to me now. First few laps since the update, and it's god awful. The steering feels like a suggestion rather than an input. And that was from Ben Altria. So there we go. Ben is not happy with the Acura, everybody. So there we go.
Nor is he happy with this bleeding update, lad.
No. I can't put the beeps in, but let's just say it was profanity. So there we go. And Harry Gaylor winded him up just by putting "get good" underneath him.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
In the meantime, Joseph Lopez has come into pit lane. The man with the Dachshund lover, as we like to say, and of course you being a Dachshund owner as well yourself, Mr. Parfitt. How is that little cherub of yours doing? Is he? Well, I wouldn't call him cherub. I would just call him. How is that little man doing?
He is completely off his head. To be blatantly honest, he's currently chasing around a new lobster toy that he's already ripped the arms off. So there you go. So, but apart from that, he's up and running quite fine. So there we go. Joe Sparrow and Matty Hoyland are having a good old little bit of a ding-dong as well. I would recommend, if you do want a Dachshund or a Dachshund, depending on whatever you call them, don't. They are bonkers. There we go.
And just like toy poodles, they have more bark than their bite.
Absolutely. In fact, they have a lot of it, and they don't shut up.
Oh, God, yeah. Will you keep quiet,
Yes.
Especially when it's 3 in the morning and something wakes them up. Especially when it's the case of thunderstorm.
It could be his own shadow, to be blatantly honest with you. There we go.
Be like, Shush, keep quiet. You know, yeah, this is good as getting a wake-up call at 3 o'clock in the morning when we have the thunderstorms in the southeast. And at 3 in the morning, like, we had this massive rumble of thunder, which went on for about 30 seconds, then multiple flashes of lightning. Toby, our toy poodle, got so scared, like we were hearing this. I think he was trying to hide under the covers as well whilst barking, which didn't go down too well with my sister and my brother-in-law. It was quite entertaining hearing the noise in the background going, Toby, shut up.
Yeah.
Meantime, like Hoyland is really keeping Sparrow very, very honest. Sergio Cabral has just lost out of position to Craig Corish in the meantime. Not for position on track, but not for position in class. Sergio Cabral has just come to the pit lane. So within the first 20 minutes, we are seeing a few drivers coming in. Steve Trippier has retired. Ben Altria has retired. Nathan Healy and Michael Gray have all retired. Daniel Paul is still circulating in the number 82 as Sam Berry throws it up the inside of Harry Hartley-Price at Lecombe, but the Porsche doing Porsche things in the hands of Hartley-Price. Keeps ahead for the moment. Good work there by Harry to stay ahead of Sam as Andy White is closing in on them in the venerable and long established Audi R8 LMS.
Yeah, definitely is. Andy there as well. Got the Audi working better than the Acura by the sounds of it, by some people's standards. But he is here for the Clarkson James Motorsport Racing Team, chasing down Sam Berry in that 1-2-9 there. So good fight going on here at the same time. Where's Andy going to go? Is he going to go? No, not this time. Up through Lafagna they go. Is he going to be able to make it at all on that run down through Blanchimont?
Well, Sergio Cabral was on his marks in the pit lane for 23.27 seconds. It's a long pit road here at Spa-Francorchamps. So as Andy White full on the beams on the loud pedal, coming through out of Stavelot and heading into Purple-Frere. Now it's going to be the run up to Blanchimont. We ride on the left door cam of the number 86 Clark St James Motorsport car. Nice new livery for that car for this round of the season. And it's hard on the brakes. 25 minutes, just under 25 minutes to go. And there's a lot of banter going on in the chat with regards to...
Yeah, I know, I can see. I'm trying to not read everything out as well. Mark Kent and Harry Gaylor, if you're in the Tanso Discord, go and look at the GT3 discussion. They're talking very bizarre.
What to trade for driver coaching, and I'm not going to mention the two words that have just been uttered by Harry.
Let's just say it's Toby's!
Well, he did say that was for other services.
Well, let's just keep it clean there.
It's just getting worse. That tone has dropped quicker than a North Korean missile at the moment, right? And that's saying something. But we're down to 25 runners and riders. I was thinking that there may be a possibility of a slightly further rate of attrition, but it's actually been pretty good. The drivers that are still with us on the circuit at the moment. We've got this great battle that Sparrow is becoming the cork in the bottle. He's got Hoyland, Reed, McLuhan, Hartley-Price, Berry and White. And they are within... what is it? That's... well, from Joe Sparrow, that's going to be the best part of nearly 2 seconds between them all. So this is going to be a rather interesting battle as it will rage on. Obviously, we'll see the pit stop cycle through in the latter stages of this race. But I think, you know, we're only on to lap 10 this race so far. It is a long lap, 7 kilometres here at Spa. But there is still plenty of opportunity for people to make unforced errors. People to make some really, really good runs as Matt Hoyland takes a leaf out of Andy White's book just out there coming through Stavelot. But at Lamborghini trying to chase down the Mustang as we run on board with the number 98 of Clarkson James Motorsports, Harry Hartley-Price. He's closing in on Jean McLuhan for 7th position, which also just so happens to be well, as I say that, Jean McLuhan goes into the pit lane, releases Harry Hartley-Price, who now finds himself 1.1 seconds behind the highest placed out of 3 BMWs in the form of Tim Reed, and he is really closing in on Hoyland. Spara has a little bit of a stumble out of the source. That was nearly an opportunity for the number 19 Full Tilt Motorsport Lamborghini and the Clarkson James 155 BMW to get through on the JSD Racing number 131.
Yeah, there you can see the BMW of Reed, Hoyland and Spara. They were very close coming out of the source. They're going to be topping north of 160. Reed's pulled out on Hoyland. Spara's covered him off. I'm not quite sure he needed to cover that one off, considering I think he might have been better trying to hold back from Hoyland, because Hoyland's now going to find himself with Tim Reed closing right up behind him. Bit of a weird move from Spara. I don't see the need, or I didn't see the need for him to cover off Tim Reed. Reed wasn't going anywhere. He didn't get the run once he pulled out. He almost hit a brick wall of air. Almost. They were almost thought about it before going 3 wide there. So yeah, Spara didn't really need to do that. All he did is really put himself under pressure for going into Le Combe. So I'm a little bit confused by that from Spara, but maybe he had his reasons and thought he was going to get a bit of a run, Tim Reed, but he didn't really, and he was never really alongside Hoyland there to have a go at him. So we're going to keep an eye and see what these guys are going to do. James Moore is on his pit exit as well. Sean Clark's in pit lane. Sergio Cabral, Dan Paul pretty much have all been in as well. Good day, JP and Kiru. Good day, Mr. Sean Bonici. How are you, dear sir? Hope you are well.
Interesting development in AM. Rexy is currently leading under the welcome steering and throttle inputs of Christopher Haynes, currently running P3 at the moment. So Rexy doing a very, very good job. Mike Walters and Tim Walters, the two from Son of a Bro Racing, rounding out the top 3, 16th and 17th in the Acura and the Porsche. 4th is Paul West. Stephen Donnelly and Joe Spara have both pitted at the same time. So has Sam Berry. So the top 3 Mustangs have pitted in at the same time with just under 20 minutes to go. And at this meantime, well, Jarrett Love has also followed them into pit lane. So yeah, those Mustangs are pretty strong in a straight line. But here goes Jarrett Love down the older, yes, very, very long pit lane.
They're not using the top one. They're using the one all the way around the corner. Chorus is in. Connor Pink's in. No wonder they're topping north of 1 minute, 12 laps, 12 pit stops here, plus more. There has been some people with exceedingly high, which I'm hoping they've just got speed in the pit lane, the likes of 211 there from, I believe that was Steve Trippier as well. But yeah, an exceedingly long pit lane. Nothing worse than trundling down that pit lane knowing that you're not even going to quite get there yet.
Yeah, so it means that the battle for P3 continues onward, but it's between Matt Hoyland, Tim Reed and Harry Hartley-Price as they head down the hill into No Name. And then it's the run down towards the double left at Pouant. Andy White again kicking up the gravel through the 90 left. It's 4th gear. Probably be accelerating as you go through the second half of Pouant. Keep it tighter to the apex. Let the car run a little bit wide and into the chicane here at Le Fagne. Hard on the brakes, down to 3rd gear, probably about 85 or so miles an hour. Then it's through the second half. And it's a short run up to the right-hander coming up here at Campus. And a little bit more inside curbing taken by Tim Reed to facilitate an easier run going through Stavelot, whereas Harry Hartley-Price lets the car drift out a little bit wide, so the left rear will be slightly touching on the gravel pit on the end of the outside curbing. We're now up to 6th gear. And
Whistle.
In the meantime, well, it has changed between the class lead because Tim Walters has pitted. Mike Walters has stayed out, runs P9 at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know. These 3 are going to head down pit lane along with Wayne Douglas. Hartley-Price, Andy White's heading in. Glenn Ablard's heading in. Harry 7, I think, is going to go in. Mike Walters is going to go in. Lopez is going to go in. And West is going. So effectively, it should leave probably Stephen Donnelly. Not Stephen Donnelly. Ruben Davis, who was here as a guest, He's yet to go in as well. We have placed him in AMS just to make my life a little bit easier on the overlay. Effectively then, leading of the AMS, once these guys have all dived in pit lane, which they all are starting to do, should be, and I say this very apprehensively because he's a long way away at the moment, it should be James Moore. But it depends on how quick Mike Waters can get in, get down the hill and into his pit box, whether or not James Moore's going to be able to get there.
Yeah, Ruben Davis has come in, so everyone would have made their mandatory pit stop based on the 50% of fuel that every single driver is given.
Why is Lopez there?
I've got absolutely no idea what Joseph Lopez is doing. Joseph, you need to go around the corner at the source, I'm afraid, my friend.
Somebody tell him he needs to go around the corner. I think Joseph might have realised he's got to go around the corner.
He probably thought, oh yeah, yeah, my box is here. Oh no, it's around the corner. Whoops. That just goes to show how things can change. Wayne Douglas comes back out as the race leader, but Stephen Donnelly is going to be hot on his heels, 9/10 behind, as coming out of pit lane, Andy White deciding to weave.
What are you doing, dear sir? You're leading the AMS at the moment. You haven't pitted yet. I wouldn't be slowing down, dude. I'd be getting on my bike a little bit here, if I can.
Yeah.
I would be running away because he needs about 1:12 and he's only got about 20 seconds over James Moore. So I think Moore's going to jump him as soon as West is in there. But that was weird. If I was West, I would have been bolting along. I wouldn't have been hanging around for Andy White to try and get past me. So there we go. But Sparrow, still where he was Sean McLuhan, Harry Hartley-Price in behind, and Sam Berry in behind that as well. He's got Tim Reed there, and that I think is Sam actually doing a 2-second stop faster in pit lane than Tim Reed and managed to jump him.
Yeah, Tim Reed was on his marks for 18.2 seconds. Sam Berry 17.1. Harry Hartley-Price 16. John McLuhan 15.5. Peter Duke had the fastest pit stop of anybody apart from Craig Corish. Corish did a 14.22. Peter Duke 15.03. That was 2 seconds quicker at least than Douglas and Donnelly. But now got just under 15 minutes to go till the checkered flag. Here's Jared Love closing in on Glenn Ablard. They've got Paul West, the AM class leader, in front. And West is going to keep out of the way, going through into Blanchimont. Good strategic drop, good spatial awareness there by the Welshman in the 33 McLaren. But this is going to be rather interesting how quickly Jared Love manages to get through on Glenn Ablard. And it's not going to be a case of if, it's going to be a case of when. Will that be sooner rather than later for the Scotsman in the number 10 Mustang?
You would have thought so, but unfortunately for Jared Love, that car in front, the Audi, seems to be quite beefy at the moment. It's not a car that we generally mention. We normally mention the top end being the Mustang. You can see the difference. He's got to go now. He's got to go now. He is going to go past him here. And he should, and I say should, be able to get the run down. He does get the run down. He does pass the Audi, and through he goes. But that was all because Glenn Ablard did not get a good run up through El Rouge and Radion, and unfortunately went on all a little bit peaked on.
Yeah, so Jared Love now becomes the Mustang meet in an Audi sandwich as they go down the hill into Bruxelles, come down from Malmedy, and then it's going to be the left-hander coming up through No Name Corner. Just try not to kick up the gravel like we've seen a few drivers do. Jared Love goes and completely piles his way through it with the right-hand side tyres, but still keeps the throttle fully pinned as they head through Pouhon down the hill, as Harry Hartley-Price battling away with the other Porsche, the 199 of Jean McLuhan, who in turn is trying to close in on Joe Sparrow, with still it being two Mustangs in the top 5, both for JSD Racing, with Donnelly second, a second and a half behind the leading car. Wayne Douglas, who pretty much hasn't put a foot wrong, the person who did put a foot wrong, and it took him out of the race early. Michael Gray in the Full Tilt Motorsport Corvette has not, well, will have his first 0 points of the season. Now, this is going to be the fact that Michael Gray can use that as a potential drop score. It will be the best 7 out of 8 scores this season that will decide our Pro and AM title winners in Season 7.
Yeah, it will be, and I think some of these guys are going to look back and wonder where they could have made this points, where they could have done this as well. Moore is quite far ahead in the AMs as well. He's, you know, a plus 30, what's that, nearly 30 points, 25 points ahead in the AMs. Michael Gray is, well, he was 25 points ahead of Harry Gaylor, who both aren't here really. Michael Gray crashed out, Gaylor's not here. McLuhan and Hoyland, well, Hoyland is ahead of McLuhan at the moment, so that's going to be a game for Hoyland over McLuhan, and Hartley Price is here also, but Ben Altria isn't. So that could be a good mix-up in the pros going into next week.
Yes, indeed. When we head to the Daytona Road Course at the World Centre of Speed, and that will be an interesting one in its own right. Then, of course, GT3 action and Brands Hatch GP, that always goes well together. That will be round 7, and then Fuji International Speedway will host the 8th and the final round on the 7th of July. We still have just under 11 minutes to go. Still battles waging on, and positions yet to be fully determined. But yeah, this is a great scrap. These 3 drivers contesting over 5th place. They keep on scrapping like this. Tim Reed is going to catch them hand over fist in the 155 Clark St. James BMW that is closing in quickly.
Yeah, they are, but that's always been the problem, is you fight, the car behind's going to come and join you, you know, and that's why they've got to make sure that they can't, you know, do that too much. You really want to kind of follow each other if you can, to stop allowing the likes of Reed to come up behind you. Berry's got his own problems at the moment. He's got Andy White literally sniffing the exhaust fumes out of Berry's rear end here. Berry's lost a rear wing. I'm quite interested to see.
Right, okay. So, down the hill, through into No Name.
Oh my God, that was the slightest little touch of Sam Berry, and that wing went, nope. See you later. And now, unfortunately for Sam Berry, he's lost 2 places to Jared Love and Andy White.
Yeah, he's going to hemorrhage a hell of a lot of time now, is Sam Berry, aka Fresh Rubber as he's known. But that slightest mistake, the car had a bit of a tank slapper. It was rear end going left, then right, then left, then right, bang into the barriers. But he's still able to keep that car on the black stuff for the moment, but it's just a case of just being careful. You want to have to do a bit of damage limitation. You won't want to go into the pits for the next 9 minutes. Paul West of the 33 McLaren has been in the pits for over 4 minutes now, and that was the guy that was actually leading the AM class, but was losing a lot of time. James Moore is leading AM. He's 2.4 seconds ahead of Chris Haynes in Rexy, who has also had an opportunity of leading this race in the Porsche. Third, it's going to be Mike Walters. Tim Walters rounding out the top 4. And Sean Clark is closing it on Tim Walters in the 67 Porsche. That is for 19th overall, and it's the change has happened. So Sean Clark through on Tim Walters. And, well, Sean Clark has got 8 minutes and 20 to try and close in on Mike Walters to get his 2nd successive podium in a row.
Too far back. Too far back. Reader's just, oh, no.
That's Spara. Is that Spara?
Yeah, I don't know what he's done. Oh, dude.
It's...
all on his own back end. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Stay where you are.
That's a...
Good job. Well done. Spara's got up and running as well on that one. Joseph Lopez has had some form of dramatics here. He's been off track, on track, off track, on track. So I'm going to count. That's the off, that's the on, that's the off, and that's the barrier.
And Bosch.
Yeah, and Tim Walters has just made it exceptionally easy for the likes of Sergio Cabral and Dan Paul We go round. Oh, dear sir.
That's through at poo on.
Hmm.
Oh,
No brakes. Didn't hold a brake by the looks of it. But Jean
all gas,
McLuhan,
no brakes.
yeah, has got Harry Hartley-Price tucked in right behind him at the moment.
Yeah, they've now battling over 5th spot as we head into the final 7 minutes. Wayne Douglas currently about 40% of the way through the laps. I would probably say might have another 3 to go after this one to take us to the checkers. So 4 laps remaining approximately. And Wayne Douglas is leading Stephen Donnelly by 3.2 seconds. That's another 3.2 back to Peter Duke in the DC Motorsport 177 Acura. So that's been quite a good battle. Jared Love trying to close in on Andy White, who in turn is now behind Joe Sparrow. And here goes Tim Walters through at Blanchimont. And bang! That's a big hit for the Porsche.
That is due to the fact it's got none of that.
Yeah, no rear wing, rear bumper's a mess, and bang, Porsche hits the barriers.
Bad there as well. Trying to go full speed, not have a rear wing on the car. Everybody who's lost a rear wing seems to be finding that out at the moment. Jared Love's did the same. Michael Gray did the same as well. And another one there at the same time. So unfortunately for Tim Waters, observe the fact that you've got no rear wing, dear sir.
Yeah, and I hope that, well, Sam Berry at the moment is now behind Glenn Abelard and is currently running 12 at the moment. So I would imagine that he's probably still got no rear wing. He hasn't come in for a second stop as Sam, but we've got just over 5.25 minutes to go. So, yeah, 3 laps remaining. And Andy White trying to put the frighteners on Joe Sparrow. Jared Love in the Mustang behind, waiting to pick up the pieces, but very evenly matched are these 3 at the moment.
Yeah, they definitely are. These guys not really moving away from each other. Jared Love, 2:16.99. He was on last time out, 2:16.84, 2:17 and 2:18. So Sparrow was, in fact, the slowest one out of all of them, but Andy White's managed to stay there as well. Sam's wondering what's the min position for points. Sam who?
I think Sam Berry is what the Wookiee Wonder is asking. I think it was it 10th or something? No, it was 15th, I think, or something like that.
15,
possibly.
I think. 15 get points, I'm sure, as Andy
Oh,
White
Jared
and
Love. Jared Love. Yeah, trying to go around the outside of Andy White through at Lecombe. And, oh, great switch back there from the Mustang. He could get the inside line here into Bruxelles. Jared Love goes through on Andy White. That is a change for 9th position. That was a great little bit of racecraft there from Jared Love. And Andy White gave him the racing room and racing respect to do so. Andy's right over his tail like a bad rash to get back at him. But that was great racing respect between the Ford and the Audi.
Yeah, absolutely. That's leaving each other room, making sure you can all make it through without any problems there. So good job from them guys, and great to see that they've not given each other any dramas, which is always good. We don't like dramas, definitely not on that one. But I think overall, it's not been a bad race. Can we call it a classic? Maybe not, but it hasn't been horrendous.
No, but it has upturned the apple cart, so to speak, especially when it comes to Michael Gray. You know, he is the biggest loser in this race. You know, 3 wins out of 4, put it on pole position, and by Lecombe on lap 1, he was out. Harry Seven is going to make this easy peasy lemon squeezy going through, because Sam Berry is just trying to make sure that he brings that car across the line. So 2 laps to go here at Spa, as Wayne Douglas is now 20% of the way through the lap. He's coming up to the Kemmel Straight in the BWT liveried Mercedes-Benz. There is Stephen Donnelly, followed by Peter Duke. Peter Duke's got to within 1.9 seconds of Stephen Donnelly, but even though you might say, oh yeah, Peter Duke's going to close in on him. Well, if Peter Duke was taking lumps out of the advantage in front of him, let's say 3 to 5 tenths a second a lap, then you could probably say that he's got an opportunity of getting past Stephen Donnelly and getting second position in the meantime. But Wayne Douglas has not really, well, apart from just as I was about to say, he's not really put a foot wrong. And as I was about to say, put a foot wrong, he's just gone all four wheels through the gravel coming out of No Name. But he's still keeping the car exactly where he needs to. And next time around, it will be the white flag lap.
It will be as well. I've just done working out. It's actually 20th they can score points up to. It's 20th. So 40, 34, 30, 27, 24, 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
1.
1. So there we go.
And Daniel Paul has now entered the pits again in the 82 Flatline Racing Porsche. But this man has done an absolutely stellar job. Capitalised on the mistake, and it was quite a hefty mistake from Michael Gray earlier on in the Full Tilt Motorsport Mustang. This man has 1 lap to go. Wayne Douglas now comes through the bus stop chicane for the penultimate time. Here on lap number 19, we go on to the 20th and final lap. Jared Love and Joe Sparra going through into Blanchimont. Love to the outside of Sparra. They nearly rubbed door panels. That was very, very close indeed. Jared Love still keeping the throttle pinned. And is he going to go late on the brakes for bus stop chicane? Yes, he is. Oh, and Sparra turned in, clashed with the left rear of Jared Love. But Jared Love got away with, I think, a little bit of superficial damage. But we'll have to see how that car handles over the next 6.5 kilometres. Doesn't look like the upright or suspension has been damaged on that number 10 Mustang, but that was a clean move and well executed once again by Jared Love.
Yeah, both men are clean. There's nothing on their car. They both look straight. See there, dead straight steering wheel for Sparra. Straight steering wheel for Love, apart from now weaving, which is making me look like a liar. And Annie White is also there as well. So these three managing to hold on. Your leader at the moment is on his way around Pouin.
Yeah, and also speaking of other leaders, James Moore not too far behind this battle for Upshift Esports in the BMW, now leads the AM class. Chris Haynes and Mike Walters rounding out the top 3. It's Wayne Douglas, Stephen Donnelly and Peter Duke overall as we hit 0 on the timer. Our leader now makes his way through Campus and Stavolo as we have the battle here, 8th to 10th. Love, Sparra and White. They're going through Pouin now as our race leader makes his way through Coeur Paul Frere. And it's the final run to Blanchimont for the number 66 BWT liveried Mercedes of Wayne Douglas. He's now got a 6-second advantage. He's on his way to the bus stop for the final time. Is our overall race leader. And it is going to be the checkered this time out. Michael Gray out on lap 1, but Wayne Douglas picks up the race victory here at round 5 at Spa-Francorchamps by a comfortable margin. And it's going to be success on the podium for JSD Racing. Stephen Donnelly takes P2. And congratulations once again, Peter Duke, twice in a row. That is a 3rd place finish as Love, Sparra and White come into the bus stop. Sparra went deep into the corner, but Love's going to get the overrun. What's going to happen with White? He's going to have to hold on, and it's a run to the line between the pair. Sparra holds off White for 9th.
Yeah, he does that. No real dramas. You saw the finishing line wasn't far down the straight. So Sparra didn't have too long to go to hold on here as well. James Moore's going to come over and take the win in the AM. It's a fair play to James Moore. Coming back through with Chris Haynes and Mike Walters getting 2nd and 3rd.
There we go. So Chris Haynes picks up his first podium of the season. It's 2 in a row. A win last time out at the Nürburgring and 3rd place for Mike Walters. Sean Clark picks up 4th and a good effort by Upshift Esports because Sergio Cabral is going to take 5th place. So Upshift Esports take a 1st and a 5th. Michael W says, good race. More wings went flying through the air than at Farnborough Air Show. That's a great way of putting that one with regards to wings that have been flying here, there, and everywhere.
Definitely not wrong there, sir.
So here are your results for round 5, season 7 of the Galebest and Clark St. James GT3 season in partnership with Tanso Racing Group. Wayne Douglas takes the win in the 66 Mercedes ahead of JSD Racing Team's Mustang, the 130 of Stephen Donnelly. Peter Duke rounds out your top 3 for DC Motorsport in the 177 Acura. Matt Hoyle and John McLuhan round out the overall top 5 ahead of Harry Hartley-Price. Tim Reed, Jared Love, Joe Sparrow and Andy White rounding out the top 10. Glenn Abelard, Harry Seven, Craig Corish, Sam Berry and Connor Pink ran at the top 15. James Moore takes another win in the AM class for Upshift Esports. The 17 BMW out of the 97 Porsche. Good old Rexy and Chris Haynes ran at P2 with Son of a Bro Racing's Mike Walters hits the podium again, this time in P3. Sean Clark and Sergio Cabral round out the top 5 in the AM side of things, and with it the top 20 overall, followed by Daniel Paul, Joseph Lopez, Tim Walters, Ruben Davis being the last of the classified finishers across the line, a lap down off the leaders. Paul West, we lost on lap 13. Steve Trippier, lap 6. Ben Altria, lap 5. Nathan Healy, lap 4. And Michael Gray, Full Tilt Motorsport in the 118 Corvette, was out at Les Combes on the opening lap of the race itself. Well, the season heads to Daytona Road Course next week, but we do have our AM class winner. Let's bring him in. James Moore from Upshift Esports. Congratulations, James. It's another victory in the bag, and it was a difficult one here at Spa tonight, wasn't it?
It wasn't the easiest, but I'm glad we got through it.
A man who's breathing a big sigh of relief, and obviously with the current temperatures of the UK, it's been a sweaty one at Spa, hasn't it?
It really has. I've got 2 fans on me right now, and it's just circulating hot air.
Oh, that's but still, that helps you with regards to obviously your campaign for the AM title. You know, it was really good to see, like say, Chris Haynes doing a great job in Rexy in the 97 Porsche. You know, Mike Walters last time winning out at Nürburgring. It really shows that there's a lot more depth to come in the AM class, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I mean, the variety of drivers in the AM class is really good. I'm always wondering who I'm going to go up against next. So if it's not Dan fighting me, it's bound to be someone else. My tyres were really struggling towards the end, and I was quite scared that Haynes was going to catch me. But yeah.
No, but well done on the win here tonight, James. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
I'd like to give a shout out to SC Designs. Serge is doing a great job with his design work that he's doing at the minute. He's only just started, but as I'm sure you've noticed, my designs have been changing quite variably over the last few races. So yeah, SC Designs for your livery needs.
Brilliant, James. So well done. Congratulations on the win here for round 5. We'll see you next week for round 6 at the Daytona International Speedway Road Course at the World Centre of Speed. Well done tonight.
Thanks, Alex.
So big thank you there to James Moore. We're now going to bring in from DC Motorsport. He's done it again. It's another podium. 3rd at the Nürburgring, 3rd at Spa. Peter Duke, how are you feeling, buddy?
Tired, Alex.
I'm not at all surprised, but it was a good race, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm chuffed, Alex. I was coming in here. The Acura just doesn't have good top end speed, you know. So I was landing about 9th in qualifying, and on the very last lap, I managed to put it. I think it was P4, P6. Can't even remember where it was.
P6 it was.
P6, yeah. And I was landing down in maybe 9th there. So to get the front 3 rows, to say that'll do me. So, but the Merc and the Mustang at the top end is incredible.
Yeah, I mean this new GT3 tyre model has really caught out quite a few people. I think the biggest surprise was Michael Gray going out. He spun it in the first part of Le Combe and went backwards into the barriers, and that was it. Game over for the Corvette, and it really changed the complexity of this race as well, didn't it?
Yeah, it did indeed. It was good to have our teammate Wayne Douglas, who drives for DC Motorsport as well, on board tonight. Wayne can't do them all, but he's a top driver, and I think him and Michael would have had a great race. And it was tight. I think Wayne put a wee bit of pressure on them into that corner, showed him a wee nose, and I think that maybe just made him look in the mirrors. But I was happy enough to see one going off. And listen, P3 I'm chuffed with. I was going for top 8 tonight, so I was chuffed.
Fantastic. Well, Peter, we go to Daytona. It's another one where there's going to be a lot of banking involved, a lot of straight line speed, but we know that the Acura is golden in the twisty stuff, and that has really helped you with regards to the 2 third place finishes in a row that you've secured. What are your thoughts ahead of Daytona next week?
Yeah, I've got quite a few laps around Daytona. As you say, the Acura, you need to make your time up in the twisty bit, because once you turn onto that straight, the Mustang and those top end cars, they'll pull that in. But listen, we're up there most weeks, top 6, so we're making progress every week. A great field out tonight of 29, so it's going from strength to strength this lead, and that's a big thanks to Sean for organising it all.
Brilliant. Well, Peter, congratulations on your second successive third place finish. Once at the Nürburgring, once at Spa. We'll see you next week for Daytona at round 6.
Good man. Thanks, Alex.
Well, we did see Chris Haynes briefly pop into the waiting interview, but I think he's ducked out maybe. But Mr. Parfitt, okay, you rightly said it wasn't a classic. But one of the good things that we have seen over the course of every single season of the Galebest and Clark St. James GT3 Championship, that there has been progression up and down the order. The racing is absolutely fantastic, and it's so clean as well at times.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's going to get better and better and better as the league continues to grow. However, I am looking forward to Daytona. Oh, it's going to be a banger.
He's got the goosebumps for it already, folks. Well, on that note, that ends our live coverage here on the JP Broadcasting Network of Round 5, Season 7 of the Galebest and Clark St. James GT3 Championship in association with Tanso Racing Group. We joined myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and James Parfitt. This has been a JP Broadcasting Network production. Don't forget, there is plenty of racing still to come, such as right now, switch over and head to Sebring for Season 4, Round 5 for the Radical SR8 Championship. We've got the TSRC GTE Masters, FDL Recruitment, Race 2, Race Round 2, Formula 4s at Winton Raceway, BSC Summer Daytona International Speedway. We've also got the FDL Endurance Race coming up this coming Sunday early morning in the UK. So until next time, race hard, race fair, and if in doubt, well, you better go flat out. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Good night for now.